This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks.
That is fire.
Whoa, that's good.
This might be the drink of the summer.
Okay, I like this one too. I'm rocking with it. Okay.
Try it for yourself. Starbucks Refreshers concentrates are coming home. Find them in the coffee aisle and make it yours.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, everybody. So on this Monday night, we're now 48 hours removed about from the Knicks' first championship since 1973. Only 5 buses were destroyed, a cab. Again, you look at the World Cup. There's a great video online that I'll post actually at Joe Concha TV on the Twitter, on X. It shows Japanese fans at the World Cup literally cleaning up after themselves in terms of their own garbage by their seats. Like bought a bag with them and then packed up the bags so the stadium remained nice. And then it's juxtaposed with another video on the right showing people beating each other up, Spurs fans being chased like it was the Hunger Games because they actually wore a jersey to New York when there were thousands of Knicks fans in San Antonio and none of them were accosted. I mean, it's just really, really wrong on every level in terms of the way that this was celebrated. But, well, again, let's not rain on the parade, shall we? And here we go. Jaylen Brunson was asked a weird question because when he was at Villanova, his Villanova Wildcats won a national championship over North Carolina in the state of Texas. And then obviously, and that was in San Antonio, by the way. And then Brunson wins again in San Antonio. So a weird question on Brunson hating Texas because, well, it's not like Brunson beat the University of Texas, but North Carolina, the game was just in San Antonio. But anyway, he has a great answer here in terms of, well, the taxes you pay in New York compared to the taxes you pay in the Lone Star State. This is cut number 3. Go.
What do you have against Texas? And how special is it for you to be able to win this title with Nicole and Josh?
I have nothing against Texas. I love Texas. I miss the Texas taxes.
That's all you need to know. No state income taxes. So you may remember A-Rod was with the Seattle Mariners first before he went to the Texas Rangers. You're like, why would he go to the Texas Rangers? Like all these other suitors were out there, including the Yankees, including the Red Sox and the Dodgers. And he decided on the Rangers, not because they were this great team. They didn't win a World Series for the first time until, I believe it was 2023, I want to say, against Arizona, maybe 2024. The point is, he went there because obviously when you make, at the time, $250 million, and A-Rod signed that contract in 2001, $250 million when you don't take out state income taxes is a big, big deal. You're talking millions of dollars back in your pocket. So when Brunson talks about, well, I don't miss, or I do miss the Texas taxes. Yeah. Compared to New York, oh boy, literally like almost life-changing money comes out of your pocket if you play for the Knicks. But nonetheless, I'm sure that Jaylen Brunson, along with Mikal Robinson, Josh Hart, just amazing that 3 teammates from the same college basketball team, the Villanova Wildcats, then go to an NBA team and win a title. This has never happened before, clearly. So, and Villanova, forever didn't win a national championship until 1985, beat Patrick Ewing, ironically enough, and the Georgetown Hoyas. No one expected them to win that game. I think they shot something like 89% in the second half from the field. In other words, 9 out of 10 shots went in against a great Georgetown team, defending champions. and they still only won by 2. That's how good Georgetown was. But then after that, there was a drought for a very long time until, obviously, Joy Reid comes in there, and then Villanova has a nice run with Jaylen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Mikal Robinson leading the way. And now the Knicks will have their ticker tape parade down the Canyon of Heroes. We have not had one of those. Let me think about this. I don't know if they had one for the Liberty. I don't mean to diminish the WNBA and that accomplishment, having called college basketball games for the women's Maryland Terrapins basketball team way back when, so I appreciate the level of play. But I don't know if the Liberty got one, but let's say they didn't. Yeah, you got to go all the way back to 2009 and the New York Yankees, the last time there's been a ticker tape parade here in New York. And overall, the 21st century has not been very kind to New York teams in general. Once you get past the Yankees winning in 2000, beating the Mets in 5, well, after that, Yankees only 1 World Series, Rangers 0, Islanders 0, Knicks 0 until now. The Jets obviously 0, the Giants 2. So the Giants lead the way right now. Can't count the Devils in this conversation. They don't get that courtesy being a New Jersey team. They won, 1-2 in 2000 and 2003. Yeah, and that's it. The Nets twice in 2002, 2003, lost to the Lakers and to the Spurs, respectively. So, yeah, this will be a big, big day. But nevertheless, here's Becky Hammond on ESPN. This was a couple of months before the playoffs, and talking about how the Knicks have no shot because their best player is Jaylen Brunson. And with a guy like Jaylen Brunson, who's the smallest guy on your team, you will not win an NBA championship. In this age, like milk in a sauna, cut number 7, go.
You got to have a dude. You got to have a 1A dude. And they're missing that at the end of the day if we're just getting down to brass taxes.
It's brass tacks, you moron.
Sorry.
I didn't want to disagree with Becky today, but they do have that dude.
Who?
Jaylen Brunson.
No, he's too small.
But here's the thing, and that's
Didn't they say about you?
But you know
they
what?
Say that about you. You're a Hall of Famer.
I got a philosophy. Can I say my philosophy?
Go ahead.
If your best player is small, you're not winning.
Oh, well, apparently they won because of that particular guy. So, all right, that was Kendrick Perkins, by the way, pushing back on that, and good for him. So, again, it's fun to play these clips back now as far as the Knicks can never win with a guy like Jaylen Brunson. Well, I never saw somebody bigger in fourth quarters, hit bigger shots. You want to say Steph Curry? Okay. Since Michael Jordan, I'm going to go with. The Knicks closed like no team I have seen actually since the 90s Bulls, where they were down 14 in game 1, came back and won on the road. Down 14 in game 2 on the road, came back and won. Down 29 at home, game 4, came back and won. Biggest comeback in NBA Finals history, game 4. The greatest game in Knicks history. Like it'll be the type of thing like if you're a 23-year-old guy and you love the Knicks, when you're 73, you'll be telling your grandkids about that game. You'll be regaling about that the way one would regale about, I don't know, Eli, the comeback against the Patriots, if you want to go back nearly 20 years ago. If you want to talk about like the Giants' magical run in 1986-87, Phil Simms and Lawrence Taylor. Okay, yeah, you could do that, right? Or the Yankees and their 3 championships in 4 years from 96 to 2000. Yeah, you could talk like that's the way it's going to be talked about. You got to understand. That's how big that game was. And on Thursday, it will be one heck of a party down the Canyon of Heroes, which has been quite hollow for a long time. Meanwhile, at the White House, Sunday night, UFC, South Lawn. I mean, obviously, this has never happened before. President Trump, being a big sports fan, obviously once owned the New Jersey Generals of the USFL back in the 80s. Been to every Knick game going back to the 80s as well. Obviously went to Yankee games. Went to one last year, as a matter of fact, as president. The first president to ever go to a Super Bowl as a sitting president. So you could go down the line. Went to the U.S. Open in terms of tennis. Went to the Ryder Cup in New York. Also went to the NCAA wrestling championships. I mean, the guy understands that America loves sports. It is Americana, no matter what sport we're talking about. And he shows up because, well, it's a good news cycle. it shows that he cares about, again, positivity, like good things. And the UFC is growing by leaps and bounds. Obviously, it used to be more of a fringe sport under Dana White. Now this is primetime kind of stuff. But unfortunately, we had one fighter named Josh Hokit. Again, you could yell at your radio and you could tell me that I have no sense of humor and that I'm politically correct, or you could even say that I'm a rhino. I'm not any of those things. But I think there are unforced errors in this world. And I think in this case, Hokit shouldn't have said this in cut number 11. Go.
And lastly, Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America?
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Hokit.
All right. So this isn't Thomas Jefferson at the White House giving a speech. All right. It's Josh Hokit. And the guy's a UFC fighter, and I guess he was making a joke. But now at the same time, the problem is that this perfect event, at least in legacy media, because they look for any little thing to paint everybody in MAGA, or if you're a UFC fan, you're a white racist hick. That's basically the way they're going to put this, as if Josh Hokit speaks for everybody. Now you can say, oh, well, Joe, come on. There's some manly aspects to Michelle Obama. We don't go there. All right? We don't go there with Melania Trump like Jimmy Kimmel did, saying she has the glow of an expectant widow. You don't say things like that. You want to criticize Michelle Obama, as I have on this show, for what she says on her podcast. Fine, that's fair game. We're going to go after looks now? I don't know. I think it's just stupid. It's stupid. And you can say, well, it's just one UFC fighter. Nothing to do with Trump. I agree completely. And if Trump comes out and condemns it, then he'll be giving in to the left, I suppose. And then you could look at this the other way, where they've been calling Trump a Nazi and a fascist, an authoritarian, all these years. Stalin, Mao, pick your horrible leader. He's been compared to that. So why should we go high when they go low kind of thing? I don't know. I think in this case, that was something that should not have happened. And you could get angry, go on Twitter, yell at me. I don't care. I think there are certain things that this was a perfect event, and now that's the one thing dominating headlines right now, and Trump is somehow being blamed for it, the same way he was when Tony Hinchcliffe, the comedian, October 27th, 2024, does a stand-up routine at Madison Square Garden and says that Puerto Rico has a trash problem because it's a trash nation, something like that. And it does have a trash problem. I mean, that's documented. But then that whole rally was, well, Trump's comedian said that all Puerto Ricans are trash, therefore he's racist, Trump is, even though a comedian who was on 5 hours before he took the stage made a joke that some people felt was off color. Well, that's comedy for you, I guess. But at the same time, I just don't think you give away these little nuggets, these gifts. So legacy media, which should have covered the UFC event for what it was, awesome, right? A celebration of Americana, great fights, the White House, unprecedented South Lawn. Instead, this is all they're talking about today. I just think you did not have to give that gift to legacy media. Meanwhile, speaking of the World Cup, I mean, it really has been fun to watch. There's games on all day, going all the way like past midnight. The USA, I love this stat, since 1938, in every World Cup game they've appeared in, have not scored more than one goal in a game. And then on Friday night against Paraguay, they score 4. 4 goals is more than they scored in the entire tournament in 2022. Think about that for a moment. So USA off to a good start. Everybody seems to be into it. All the stadiums are sold out, whether we're talking Atlanta or you can't call it MetLife Stadium because they take away the corporate sponsors. For the next 3 weeks, it's New York, New Jersey Stadium. Or SoFi out in Los Angeles is now Los Angeles Stadium. So it's been fun to watch. It's every 4 years. It's like the Olympics. I never really followed soccer all that much until my kids started playing. My daughter and my son. My daughter, though, is incredible. I mean, she is on a team undefeated. They are ranked near the top. They have rankings for 12-year-olds, apparently. So go figure. It's like the NCAA. But for 12-year-olds, one of the top teams in New Jersey, nationally ranked as well. And you watch the sport, you're like, okay, now I know why they call it the beautiful game. There is an artistry to it. You could say, well, there's not a lot of scoring. All right, I get it. It's not the NFL and the Chiefs and Bills going back and forth, 45-41 kind of game. But still, Bill Maher probably reflects what many of you think as far as scoring in soccer, not exactly being at a premium. In cut number 15, go.
Not a lot of sports going on. The World Cup is here in L.A. Most of the world... Oh, see? It's 11th. Yeah, most of the world considers soccer the number one sport. Here, it's for where you put your kids when you don't want to pay for daycare. That's what, I don't get the attraction of soccer. I don't. There's more scoring at Bible camp. But okay, if you love it, you love it, and I'm glad you have it.
Oh, more scoring in Bible camp. Okay, I love it. Meanwhile, just amazing. On Fox alone. All right, I work for him, but this has nothing to do with it. It could be on ABC, NBC, CBS. I would share this number. U.S. soccer men's national team that win over Paraguay, 16 million viewers. The most watched U.S. men's national tournament World Cup telecast in English language history. Another 12.1 million on Telemundo. You're talking 28 million viewers. Boy, we'll put it this way. When the Yankees and the Dodgers were in the World Series, this is nearly double that number. Think about that. And then you even look at other numbers like worldwide. You're talking more than 1 billion people worldwide watch the World Cup every game. So, yeah, it is the world sport, no question. And we'll stop talking about it because most of you are like, I don't care, Joe. Please move on. All right, fine. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. Back with so much more, not soccer, in just a moment.
Where liberalism is a no-go. The Joe Concha Show, weekday edition. Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So Bernie Sanders is not happy that Elon Musk has just become a trillionaire. And the reason why he did is because SpaceX went public. It literally took off, launched with this IPO, and that net worth alone as a result of the IPO and that stock going to Pluto. All stocks went to Pluto today as far as way up. All stocks going to Pluto today, it feels. The Dow Jones, S&P, especially the NASDAQ, all hitting record highs as a result of this Iran deal. Everybody loves it. Crude oil way down. But Bernie Sanders not happy about Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire, but here he is on flying private jets in cut number 1. Go.
5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United?
Yeah.
Waiting, 30,000 people are waiting. That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
I hate trillionaires, and the rich should pay their fair share. But if you think I'm waiting online like everybody else at United Airlines, you are crazy. I am flying private, and I expect my champagne chilled. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. Back with so much more in just a moment.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Bring a date, your squad, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
It's the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So much to talk about on this Monday evening. Let's start off with... oh, God. So the UFC, as we talked about earlier, obviously had those fights on the South Lawn of the White House. Just something we have never seen before. When you watched it on TV, it was so surreal seeing the White House in the background of a UFC event. I mean, it just really crazy stuff. Dana White, literally over the moon in terms of what was going on there and where his sport was and where it's going. But at the same time, Mr. White also is a businessman. And here he is with Katie Miller. This is the wife of Stephen Miller, who is the deputy chief of staff to President Trump, to Susie Wiles, obviously the chief of staff. And here's Dana saying, hey, well, here's Katie actually asking Dana, hey, you ever going to do this again? Because it was really awesome. And Dana, well, he sees the bottom line. And, well, here's his answer. Cut number 13, go.
You've been openly supportive of President Trump for a long time. Has that ever cost UFC any business, either domestically or abroad?
I don't give a I don't know the answer to that question. I've gotten to a point in my life, especially after COVID and all the nutty that went on during that time, that I only want to be in business with and talk to people that I'm aligned with.
Were you always red-pilled?
Always what?
Red-pilled, like conservative.
No. I would have considered myself a lot more liberal. I would have considered myself an 80s or 90s Democrat.
That's very interesting. All right, Phil, we're good.
But
it goes on for a while. But yeah, Dana White saying, yeah, there's no way we could actually ever afford to do this again because not taxpayer money. None was used to put on this event. This is solely on Dana White's dime. I think overall he may lose money in terms of the event, but overall because of the exposure, I think it's a net win. And again, he said he was doing it because of America 250. He's a big fan of the president. And he did something that no one's ever done before. And how many people can say that in life? That they've done an event, something so huge that no one's ever done it before. I'm not saying he just walked on the moon for the first time. This isn't Neil Armstrong. But this is something that, again, years from now, he'll be telling his grandkids about, like, I had this event at the White House. No one's ever done it before. No one's ever done it since. And I think it's awesome. Except Nicole Wallace over on MS Now, or BS Later, whatever you want to call it. She has a big problem with this UFC fight because liberals in general are miserable people. They are people that just want to complain, just want to hate, and don't have a lot going on in their lives in terms of positivity, happiness, touch grass once in a while. Anyway, here's Wallace about that UFC fight. And apparently the Trump administration and Trump in the White House, they have reached a new low. Cut number 17, go.
This weekend will mark a brand new low for America in the eyes of the world.
What?
Also marks a new low for Donald Trump and his now well-documented record of showing disrespect and glee for destroying the country's most iconic and historic symbols.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything the country has stood for. Trump is hosting a tragically tacky UFC cage match on a massive stage that he constructed on the south lawn of the White House.
Yeah.
We've reported that here on this show. Late today, a federal judge is allowing...
Phil, I can't talk it anymore. I can't listen to this person. How does anybody tune into that and be like, wow, this is great TV? Tacky UFC event. Why is it tacky? Was Nicole Wallace around, by the way? She was, actually. She had a show on MSNBC, it was called at the time, where Joe Biden, the autopen, well, probably not him, but whoever is running the White House, decided to invite a whole bunch of LGBTQ++, I don't know, asterisk, exclamation point. I don't know how many other, symbols are used now at this point, but invited a whole bunch of trans folks to that same South Lawn where they literally showed their boobs, the sweater puppets. And I that was okay. That was fine. Go ahead. You look up the video anytime you like. It is scary stuff. And Nicole Wallace had no problem with that, though, right? Anyway, meanwhile, liberals had an anti-UFC fight rally. Of course. Do these people work? I guess they don't. If you're Bette Midler, I suppose you're retired for some time. Remember, it was what? 1992, so we're talking 34 years ago when she sang goodbye to Johnny Carson on his final show, and everybody loved Bette Midler. Now she is just like this Stephen King kind of Martin Sheen kind of Robert De Niro liberal who all she can do, like Rosie O'Donnell, talk about Trump, how horrible he is. Well, she decides to do this Broadway number, I guess, at this anti-UFC Trump rally. And this... I mean, if you cringed anymore, I swear, this is really difficult to listen to. So if you're driving, try to take control of the wheel because it's that bad. Cut number 2, go.
Oh, you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. Hey there, all you fascists. Let me put you straight. When you come for the rest of us, we'll fight you at the gate and you will lose. You fascists bound to lose.
You fascists gonna lose. And people are in an audience actually, clapping and dancing to this? Oh, man. You're telling me about a blue wave with Democrat? I don't know. I think that the very far left love this stuff, but people, normal people, just the normies, forget like Republican or Democrat, independent, normies. It should literally be a political party. Normies with common sense. All right? NW... Normies with common sense. CS, all right? NWCS, okay? That should be a party. And I have a feeling they would probably reject that. That was tough to listen to. Play half of that one more time, Phil, because it was really that bad.
Oh, you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's the Democratic Party these days. Meanwhile, let's go to Graham Plattner, who we get to talk about on this show every day, the neo-Nazi guy with the Nazi tattoo, the guy who said that black people don't tip, the guy who says that women should be more adult, and if they were more adult, they would avoid being raped, the guy who mocked a Purple Heart recipient because he got shot 4 times protecting his platoon, Plattner, a former military guy himself, saying the MRFer deserved to die. The communist who believes that we should embrace China's philosophy on the economy and governance in general, the guy who says that border security should be defunded, ICE should be abolished along with DHS. That guy running in Maine. And now polls are showing that Susan Collins is basically tied, which means she's ahead, which means that he's going to lose. And every Democrat who ever lectured anybody on the moral high ground, standing up to fascists, well, you just lost that whole alleged platform. Meanwhile, Plattner called John Fetterman, the one common sense guy, on the Democrat side, an a-hole. And here's how Fetterman responds with Kristen Welker on NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday. Cut number 4, go.
Let me ask you about what he has said about you. This is what he said about you at a recent town hall. I want to give you the opportunity to respond. He says, I get a lot of criticisms. I get a lot of criticisms about the way this government functions, but in order for us to make it functional, we're going to have to do stuff. And you can't just go down there and be John Fetterman and just sort of be, and he uses an expletive. What's your response to that criticism, Senator?
Oh, I'm devastated. I'm devastated. Like the guy that, the tough guy that roughs up, ex-girlfriends and then the guy with the Nazi tattoo and all those things. So for me, I'll take everything he says as a badge of honor, and he's going to find out, once, if he does win, he's going to find out he's going to be 100 out of 100. And now, you're not going to drag Jeff Bezos in. You're not going to, he was bragging, I'm going to get arrested. Go ahead, go be a dick and go get arrested. They'll love it.
Wow. So Plattner calls Fetterman an a-hole, and Fetterman for the win comes back and calls Plattner a dick, and then lists all the things, by the way, why Democrats are such hypocrites when it comes to these things, except for John Fetterman. Well, again, the most refreshing change in one politician I think I have ever seen to this point. Oh, meanwhile, you're going to love this. Here is Joy Reid, formerly of MSNBC, somehow managed to get fired from that insane asylum, which is really hard to do. And she was speaking at this anti-Trump UFC rally, talking about how, along with Jim Acosta and Scott Pelley, they were just fired for doing their jobs in holding this administration, the Trump administration, accountable. One little problem with that argument that I'll tell you about on the other side, cut number 12, go.
Scott Pelley fired from CBS by the class of far-right ideologues who bought it and handed it over to a zealot named Bari Weiss, who may soon...
Bari Weiss is a zealot.
She may soon also control CNN.
Good.
Jim Acosta out at CNN. Karen Attiah fired from the Washington Post, and me more than a year ago. All of us shown the door.
Yes, she was shown the door because she stood up to the administration. I'm wondering, though, Joy Reid did work from 2021 to 2025, right? That did happen. That's when the Auto Pen administration was in power. So when it comes to, look, if you're a journalist and you want to hold the powerful accountable without fear or favor to party by simple scrutiny, asking questions, digging for the truth, everybody is for that. However, when you only stand up to one administration with the most bias possible, suddenly you can't be taken seriously. And I have receipts, by the way, because here we go in cut number, let's see. 6. Here is Joy Reid talking about Kamala Harris's 2024 campaign. This is the night of the election in 2024 when Trump was announced to be the winner. And this is the takeaway that Joy Reid had, the honest journalist that she's talking about herself being. Cut number 6, go.
That, anyone who has experienced or been in the United States for any period of time and experienced this country's history and knows it cannot have believed that it would be easy to elect a woman president, let alone a woman of color. Let's just be clear. And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign.
Flawlessly? Oh, they spent $1.7 billion in 107 days. They didn't win one swing state, all 7 of them. They lost the popular vote. Republicans took back the Senate. They held the House. Flawlessly run campaign. It's the worst campaign I have ever seen in my life. That's all due respect to Michael Dukakis, all right, and John Kerry. This was profoundly horrible. And she's talking about how it was flawless? Oh, man, oh, man. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. We'll wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Looking to see what's happening around your home? Ring's battery doorbell helps you track packages and see who's at your door in real time. The Outdoor Cam Plus protects your yard at night with a wide field of view and clearer Retinal 2K video. Or upgrade to 4K cameras and doorbells with Retinal Vision for ultra-clear zoom and detail. Your door, your yard, your home. With Ring, it's protected. Shop cameras, doorbells, and more at ring.com now.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
I didn't think the pain from the shingles rash would affect simple, everyday tasks like bathing, getting dressed, or even walking around. I was wrong. Though not everyone at risk will develop it, 99% of people over the age of 50 already have the virus that causes shingles, and it could reactivate at any time. I developed it, and the blistering rash lasted for weeks. Don't learn the hard way, like I did. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
It's the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, everybody, let's wrap this puppy up with Hassan Piker, the dream podcaster for the Democratic Party. Here he is talking about, he really hopes more anti-Semitic communists are elected to public office to the point where Memdani looks like a benign kitten compared to them. Cut number 18, go.
I hope that although Zoran was the first in New York City, by the end of these midterms, Zoran will seem unremarkable. Because by then, we will have elected so many brilliant fighters into legislative offices throughout the New York City and the state.
Whee! All right, great. So, one of those people is a congressional candidate who Piker really loves and whom Mamdani has actually endorsed for a congressional seat in New York. Here's what she sounded like on October 8th, 2023, while Israelis were still being slaughtered by Hamas. This is what this maniac had to say. And this is who Hassan Piker and his BFF, Zohran Mamdani, have endorsed for Congress. Cut number 8, go.
The United States of America, we feel the Palestinian blood. And we stand in solidarity with Palestine. We have the historic responsibility. Of defeating Israel colonialism. And U.S. imperialism.
Oh, U.S. imperialism. And you got to run for Congress, represent the United States in Congress, and you feel that the United States is the enemy? That Israel is imperialist? That person is who Mamdani is endorsing? New York Press, where are you on this? It's very simple. Do what Tim Russert used to do on Meet the Press. Play that clip and say, do you support that? Do you think the U.S. is the enemy? That Israeli is imperialist? Israel, excuse me. Well, let's hear the answer. He'll smile his way through it, right? That was in Times Square, by the way. October 8th, 2023. One day after the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust. And this person could represent New York in Congress 25 years after 9/11? All right, great. Go for it. You would think there'd be a media that would call this stuff out, but oh no, it's not happening. Meanwhile, we have reflecting pools now in Washington, D.C. that are actually blue. I went to the mall not too long ago. I went to college down there, University of Maryland. Went to Washington many times. It's a beautiful thing, the mall. As far as you have the monument in the background, you have the Lincoln Memorial ahead of you. It is just iconic, classic. I'm making very obvious statements. But the water in there was brown to green with a bunch of horrible things probably, floating around in there. Now it's blue. Now you're at Disney. Trump changed that. Yet Democrats are very, very upset that he actually cleaned up D.C., that he actually brought UFC fights to the White House, which, again, that's a fun thing. That's a good thing. That's Americana. Here's Scott Jennings talking about how Democrats are objecting because they just want to live in utter misery. Cut number 9, go.
Pretty neat thing. And I don't, all week long I've been listening to Democrats criticize a reflecting pool. They're criticizing having this UFC fight. I mean, virtually anything we're doing to do something cool in Washington, D.C., Democrats are against it because I guess they want to live in misery. But this is fun, and we should have fun.
I don't want to live in misery, and I don't really begrudge.
That's Jamal Simmons, who I work with at the Hill, and he's a reasonable Democrat. Kind of agreeing with Scott Jennings. Like, don't be that party that poo-poos on everything. You're angry about everything. Everything sucks. Everything is bad if Trump supports it. What, clean water? I thought Democrats supported clean water. Wouldn't that be nice? Or athletic, I don't know, going out and doing stuff and exercising. Pretty, benign stuff, but Democrats are against it. Before we go, Ryan Clark, ESPN. This guy gets paid $2 million by that network to give garbage takes like this. As a sports guy originally, this really pisses me off. Cut number 20, going off on Brady, Manning, and Breeze. Okay, cut 20, go.
I think John Elway was a generational talent. I think Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. I don't think Tom Brady, I don't think Drew Brees, I don't think Peyton Manning are generational talents. I think Andrew Luck ended up being a generational talent. I don't think there's a ton of them out there.
But so then what? Then how does one, in your eyes, be a generational talent? Because there's not a lot of difference.
Production.
Let me chime in here because I love the argument back and forth between y'all.
Oh,
I ain't
God.
trying to get in the way of
You
it.
got
But
it.
here's the reality.
Yeah.
The operative word here is. Do you believe Arch Manning
I'm
is
dumber for
a
having heard that.
generational talent? He could
Right.
be, but he's not. Why not yet? What have you seen to say that he is?
There's no evidence.
There's no evidence.
Oh, God. All right. So that's ESPN these days. Let's basically sum this up in one number. 10. 10. Brady, Manning, and Breeze won 10 Super Bowls between them. And they're not generational talents? Quarterbacks? Setting all sorts of records in terms of yards thrown? Championships? They're not generational talents? That person gets paid $2 million a year for that analysis? Oh, God. My hair hurts. Anyway, all right. We're back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time on WABC on stations around the country, around the world. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.